Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Well, here we are. A couple of weeks ago I made a video going over my 25 favorite folding knives, and as promised, here we are with my 15 favorite fixed blades. Couple of interesting things about this list. A third of the knives on this that you're going to be seeing in this video are basically brand new to me, and were sent by Zach. If you guys don't remember, a few months ago, by the time you're seeing this video, a very generous subscriber named Zach sent me a whole bunch of fixed blades, and a bunch of them are on this list right now. It's interesting that I have not reviewed as many fixed blades as I have folding knives, and even just throughout my life, I've used way more folding knives than fixed blades. A lot of you will know that I grew up on a cattle ranch. I worked as a cowboy in the woods for a very, very long time. I've done hunting and guiding, survival, bushcraft, all kinds of fixed blade tasks throughout my entire life, but I haven't used that many fixed blades. And I think most of that's because before I was really big into knives, there was a couple of fixed blades that I had that, you know, well, I guess actually now that I think about when I was a youngster, like a teenager, I definitely had way more fixed blades that I would use and carry than folders, because I don't know, I was a little more into fixed blades back then, I guess. A lot of them were pretty crappy. A lot of them were not great. I even had a couple of fixed blades that I made myself, but yeah. Then after I kind of got into the knife hobby, folding knives, I think are, you know, they just have a lot more, I don't know, collectability. There's a lot more variation. And when it came to my particular fixed blade tasks, I found a fixed blade that worked for me, and I stuck with that for years. And it did everything I needed it to do. I was using it a lot out in the woods. As a geologist, I use it out in the field quite often. I just never really thought about changing it up. But recently, I don't know, last couple of years, I've been really wanting to get into, you know, different fixed blades, kind of expand my horizons. So that's what I've been doing, and that's going to be reflected here a little bit. Okay, without any further preamble, let's go ahead and get this video started. This is a top 15 list. At first, I was going to do just a top 10, and then there was a couple of knives I was like, ooh, I want to throw those in. And my OCD wouldn't let me just make this a top 12. And I was like, okay, so let's fill in some of the gaps. Let's make it a 15. So I made it a 15. And I'll talk about some of the knives that were like kind of, you know, filler additions, I guess. But one knife that did not make it on the list that I feel like kind of should have is the Mora Basic. Now, one reason I think I'm not including this one on the list is because really I don't love a lot about this knife. I think they're pretty hideous. You know, they don't give me any zing factor there. Don't care much for the sheaths or anything. But they're very cheap. They're really, really good for what they are. And honestly, I have given these away to so many people. I do love the Mora Basic. I really love the Mora Basic. I've only got one right now. I have probably owned 10 of these. I've probably owned close to 10 of these, and most of them have been given away to people because, you know, they're just great gift knives. There was a particular camping trip that I went on with some friends, and I was splitting wood for the fire with my Cold Steel SRK, which, yes, that's going to be in this video. And one of my buddies came to me, he's like, that is so cool. Like, I want to learn how to do that. I was feather sticking and stuff. I was building the fire with a ferro rod, you know, just kind of showing off. And one of my buddies was pretty impressed. Like, you know, I want to get into this kind of stuff. And I had a Mora Basic in my truck under the seat. And so I went over there and I said, hey, you can have this, you know, knock yourself out, learn some knife skills. And so I gave it to him. And I've done stuff like that with Moras a lot. So yeah, this one has stuck around. I've had this one for a few months at this point. So this one's sticking around a little longer, but yeah, Moras. The Mora Basic in particular. should have been on this list. All right, let's go ahead and get into the list in particular, let's go ahead and get into the actual list. And we're going to start off with a knife that you guys all knew was going to be on here. The Cold Steel SRK. This list is going to be in no particular order, but if it was, this is my favorite fixed blade. I love the Cold Steel SRK. I've owned several of them. This one is in the SK5 steel. My knife that I was talking about earlier that I was using for all my outdoor tasks was an all black SRK. I missed that knife. I had that knife for years. Me and that knife went through all kinds of adventures, including being stranded in the mountains a couple of times and having to build a shelter. One of those times it was during a rainstorm, this huge lightning storm. I'm up in the high mountains, northern Mexico. We're up in the Rockies, and this storm rolls in out of nowhere, and thunder, lightning. We saw a tree get struck by lightning about, I don't know, what was it, 300 yards, 400 yards from us. Pretty terrifying. We were trying to get back to the cabin. We were in an ATV, but the river had already risen so high that we couldn't get back across, and so ended up having to spend the night out there. And as far as a survival knife goes, I don't think you can do much better than the SRK. I think this is just a fantastic knife. Of course, I've had the SK5 versions. Recently, I got a CPM 3V version. Still got some gunk on it. I love this knife a lot. This might be my favorite SRK, but honestly, whichever one you go for, the Sanmai 3V, SK5, I think you'll be happy. I think you'll be pleased. So yeah, we're including this in the same category. Both these in the same category. I thought about splitting them up, but nah, we'll include both of these. Yeah, I love the SRK. I think this is, especially the more budget-friendly one. I mean, heck, oh, this is the budget-friendly one. This 3V one I got for $80. It's not bad. And this one is like $40. And this is the best $40 knife you can get, in my opinion. Love the SRK. Yeah, the sheath is not the great. Honestly, the most complaints I hear about the SRK are around the sheath. I think the sheath is just fine. I like the sheath. So yeah, SRK is amazing. I really wish I still had my original black one that got stolen. I'll never forgive myself for retiring that knife to be a truck knife. See, I got the new green one. I was like, you know what? Let's retire my OG black one. It's been through enough. It's going to be a truck knife now. Then my truck got broke into and it got stolen. And, I'm glad I still have this one, but that black one, I mean, we had some really good memories. So, all right, there we go. I'm going to try to run through this a little bit quicker than the other video. Let's go ahead and go here next. This is an Elk Ridge Bowie knife. And this is a knife that I was given by my dad for Christmas when I was 14, I think. And this was my prized possession for a very, very long time. 440 stainless blade, probably a 440A, nothing amazing. Hollow grind, really kind of nasty hollow grind on here. Got that classic coffin scale, kind of this, or coffin-shaped handles. You got this kind of Eye of Ra insignia almost. Yeah, I love this knife. I think it's a beautiful looking knife. It's a cheapo knife for sure, but I like it a whole lot. It's got a lot of memories for me. I love Bowie knives. Bowie knives are probably my favorite knives aesthetically. I love a Bowie clip point. And yeah, this knife here is just gorgeous. Absolutely love that one a whole bunch. That is one of the few fixed blades from my childhood that made it on this list. The other one, we'll go ahead and go into the other one right now. You guys might remember this one. This is another Elk Ridge, and they also call this a Bowie knife. I would disagree with that. But I made a whole video about this knife, told its story. More of a smatch-it blade. Isn't that cool? Yep, that's pretty wicked. Pretty wicked. So this knife is really, really special to me. I bought this knife with my own money. And actually, this one's not from my childhood, really. I bought this one as an adult, but it reminds me of my childhood. So when I was a teenager, my cousin Austin and I would work for a bunch of people in our area. We were kind of handymen. We'd chop people's wood. We'd clear their yards. We'd, do small repairs and stuff. We built a couple sheds and barns and stuff for people. And we were both really big into knives. And so some of our money that we got from those jobs, we would go and spend on knives. We'd go to the Big Five in Taos. And I remember Austin bought this. And it was the last one. I was so jealous. I wanted one of these knives. We'd had our eye on this knife for a long time. And then I think this was like a $30 knife at the time, which, was pretty expensive for a knife for us. And so he got it and I was so jealous. This was a high quality item, to us back in the day. Well, then a couple years later, I was coming through Taos to visit my folks, and I happened to stop by the Big Five, and they had one. So I bought it, and I'm glad I did. Absolutely love this knife. Austin and I have a lot of matching knives in our collections, and it's just kind of cool. It's one of those, definitely a sentimental knife more than anything, but it's a good one. Oh, and by the way, check out the Bull of the Woods YouTube channel. That's Austin's YouTube channel, and it's definitely worth a look. So yeah, there's that knife. Definitely love that one. I will say I'm not a huge fan of the sheath attachments. You got 2 snaps here. Kind of makes getting the blade in and out a little bit of a hassle, but decent quality leather sheath. It's a cool knife. All right, we are taking way too long. Let's go ahead and go on to a knife that was kind of one of those filler additions. This is the Viper Knives Handy 2. And the reason I decided to throw this knife in is because you can see how filthy the blade is. I've been using this knife a lot recently. This has been the knife that I've been carrying for review the most. I have not filmed a review on this knife yet. If I have reviews on these knives, I'll let you guys know. I've got lots of videos about the SRK. I've got a video about this knife. Don't think I have a dedicated video on this knife, but it appears in a couple videos. Anyways, I've been really enjoying carrying this knife. I will say there's a couple things I don't like. Like, I've cut myself twice with this knife because of where the edge ends right here, which I'm not a huge fan of, but honestly, the knife itself is pretty cool. Very utilitarian. I really do like the handle. I like the ergos, jimping. This is Italian made M390. Do like the sheath quite a bit. It's a very cool little knife. When the review does come out, I'm pretty sure it's going to get a pretty good review. I've really enjoyed my time with this knife quite a bit. This is a good one. That's a good one. And this list is subject to change because there are a lot of fixed blades I have my eye on that, we might get on the channel eventually one of these days for review. Next knife, this is another kind of one of the filler knives. There is a review for this one out. This is another one sent in by Zach. This is the Asher Knives Fixie. I love a lot about this knife. The review was very, very positive, but if you've seen the review, the one thing I didn't like about this knife is this little area here feels like it just kind of kicks this point into your hand a little bit. The ergos need a little bit of tweaking. I'm probably going to be giving this knife away when we hit 5K, so subscribe if you haven't already, but yeah, it's a good knife. If I was going to be keeping it for myself, I would like round that, or I don't know, I just adjust something a little bit. But I love the blade. S90V, very, very cool steel. Love the size, straight clip point. Love that the edge is lower than your knuckle, or just about as low as your knuckle. Not a huge fan of the sheath. The sheath could be a little bit better in my opinion, but you know, this is still overall just a great knife, and especially at the price. These are like $100-ish, 115, something like that. It's a really good deal. So if you can find them, definitely worth getting. Very, very cool knife. Okay, let's go ahead and get into some more interesting ones. I actually lied. It's slightly more than a third of the knives are sent in by Zach. Next one, this is kind of a weird one. This is the CRKT Spew. I have not showed this knife on screen in a while, but some of you will know, a couple of years ago, I was really big into neck knives. And this was my favorite neck knife to carry. I love the straight Wharncliffe shape here, a true Wharncliffe. The G10 scales are really, really pretty. The ergos on this are fantastic for a knife of this size. To me, this is basically what an EDC neck knife should be. Absolutely love this thing. It could be a little bit self-defensy. Super thin tip. This thing cuts like no one's business. Only 5CR steel. But I love this knife. This knife is really, really cool. I haven't carried it in a while, but it sits in my desk drawer. Great little letter opener and stuff. Just a fantastic knife. One of the best small fixed blades you can get, in my opinion. The sheath, or the entire carry system, I'm not a big fan of. I could, of course, change this up for a chain, which I don't know why I haven't yet, but I don't like the idea of having an actual like paracord around your neck. If you get your tool caught something, it's not going to break away. If you're in a Friday night gas station fight, someone could grab that and just, garrote you to death. But very, very cool knife. Definitely one that I enjoy a whole lot. Moving on. Next up, we have the Artisan Cutlery Sea Snake. I enjoy this knife a lot. I am not the biggest Wharncliffe guy, but EDC fixed blade Wharncliffes are actually something that I'm a big fan of. This knife here is just a phenomenal small fixed blade. I was using this a lot on the ranch a couple of years ago out in the woods. Just a very, very cool knife. I dyed the scales. I ruined the sheath on this one, which is why it is in this horrendous piece of garbage. I made this sheath, and yeah, it sucks. It's not a great sheath, but there we go. Yeah, I love the Sea Snake. Designed by Michael Imler. Good ergos, great size. This is one that could also very easily be made into a neck knife. Just a really, really great little design and pretty affordable too. AR RPM9 steel on the blade. It's a good one. That is a good one. Alrighty. Where do we want to go next? Let's go ahead and go here. This knife, I almost didn't put on this list, but I've been carrying it on a couple of adventures recently. In fact, this past weekend, I took this on a pretty big hike with me. Been getting some good use out of it. That's the Cold Steel SRK-C. And I almost put this in the same category as the original SRK, but this is a very different knife. This feels a lot more like a tactical fighting knife than an outdoor bushcraft survival knife to me, which is fine. Not really my style, but the more I've been using the knife... Oh, and I actually bent the tip. Holy cow. You guys see that? The tip's a little off center. Easy fix, though. Easy fix. This one's an SK5 steel. Just a cool little knife. Feels very, very different from the original SRK. It definitely has its own personality. Not a size that I particularly love, but again, the use I've been putting it through, and it will be going through a lot more use. I doubt it'll look this pretty when the full review comes out. I'm realizing that this is one of those knives that can kind of hit above its size class in terms of use. So definitely a knife that I have come around. Like, I didn't dislike it to begin with, but I definitely like it less than the SRK. And I think that, like the fact that I liked it less than the original SRK kind of overshadowed all the good things about this knife. And now that I'm trying to treat this knife as its own thing, as a standalone knife, I'm realizing that, yeah, This definitely has some really cool features. It's a great design. It's an SRK, honestly, but very, very cool knife. Okay, next up, let's go to an actual EDC kind of fighting knife. That's the Half Face Blades Extremis. This was also sent in by Zach. I love this knife. Love the carbon fiber. Wicked, wicked blade. This is definitely kind of a self-defensing knife. So comfortable in hand. And I don't know, it just looks so cool. It kind of looks like a Gladius a little bit. Stupid sharp. S35, S45 VN steel. I've been carrying this and EDCing it. You can see there's some marks on the blade. I know it's meant for self-defense, but honestly, it's a pretty solid EDC knife too. I've really, really been enjoying carrying this thing. We've got an Ulte clip. We got a Swede-lined sheath here, so it's super quiet. Yeah, very tactical. Just a great knife. It's got a little lanyard on there that Zach put on there. I like it. I'm going to keep that lanyard on there because, you know, I am going to keep this knife and something to, you know, connect me to Zach. A little personal thing. So, yeah, I absolutely love this knife. Can't wait to get the review done on this guy. This is probably my favorite EDC fixed blade. This thing is just really stupid freaking cool, and it blows my mind that this is a knife that I have. So, love that knife a whole bunch. Okay, let's go on to something kind of goofy. This is a knife I haven't reviewed yet because I really don't know how to review it, but I have been getting some use out of it, shockingly. The Civivi Aratra. I love this knife. It is big and stupid, and I have actually taken this backpacking and used it as like a portable hatchet. I've taken it on a bunch of camping trips and used this as the hatchet for the trip. And it works. It actually works. I know this thing is crazy and ridiculous, but dang it, it works as a little hatchet. Honestly, when I first got it, I was like, oh, this is kind of a gimmicky type of thing. But I've actually been getting use out of it. But reviewing it, I don't know. Reviewing it has presented some challenges, I guess. I don't even know what to say. We do need to get this knife reviewed because I do like it a whole lot. Biggest Civivi knife ever made, for sure. Yeah, this thing's just ridiculous. It does have a Kydex sheath, and you can carry it on your belt if you would like. Yeah, you can see. This knife and I have been places. Like, I have gotten a ton of use out of this knife, but I don't know why I haven't reviewed it yet. I don't know. I don't know. It's just the ethos of this knife confuses me, I suppose. Very cool knife. Absolutely love it. Ridiculous and crazy as hell. Okay, moving on. Let's stick kind of something related to Civivi. Sincut. This is a Waxahachie. These are discontinued now. Unfortunately, this is an excellent little knife. I love this knife so much. This was my favorite EDC fixed blade until the Extremis came along. And this is a $40 knife. And that Extremis is $400. And this is a really, really good knife. 9CR clip point blade. Very useful clip point. You know, the tip doesn't come up too high. This is a great sized knife. I've used this knife to dress out an antelope. It was great for skinning and everything like that. It's a good EDC knife. You know, this is kind of I don't know, it kind of walks the line between like EDC and light outdoor use, you know, definitely hunting, skinning applications it's good for. I just love this knife. Super comfortable, great jimping, very lightweight. Yeah, this thing's amazing. And I guess Sincut's replacing this with the Toxodon, which I want to get my hands on. It's new for this year. I want to get a Toxodon and review it. But yeah, there's that. Okay, we have 4 knives left. What order do I want to do these in? I think we'll go like this. Yeah. Next up, Dan Peters Full Tang Tactical. I've been carrying this knife on a couple of adventures recently. You can see this guy's been taking some damage. Can't wait for the review on this. 3V steel, rubber G10 scales, drop point blade sharpened on the back edge right here, hollow grinds. This is definitely kind of a tactical fighting knife. Like that's the intended purpose. But I've been getting some decent use out of it as an outdoor knife. I really enjoy this knife. This is the most expensive fixed blade on the list. This is the most expensive knife I own, I believe. Yeah, I think this is the most expensive knife I have in my possession right now. Anyways, this one's also sent to the channel by Zach. My hand is maybe slightly too small for this knife, but it's still comfortable. I like the pinch grip up here. The workmanship, the craftsmanship is done very, very nice on this guy. We got a nice leather sheath. And I respect a lot about this knife. And I'm trying to figure out how it fits into my particular needs and uses. Because one thing is, I'm sure this would be all right at batoning, but I'm not sure I'd want to because you're hitting this other edge here with your baton. So, I don't know. I've done some woodworking with it. Did fine. I've done straps and rope and things like that. Did a little bit of food prep with it. It cuts very, very well. It is definitely a tactical knife though. So, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what my relationship with this knife is going to be. And this might be one that ends up in a giveaway sometime. We'll see. It all depends on if I can find a good niche for it in my needs. Alrighty, next up, the Gerber Strong Arm. Yeah, I am not a huge fan of Gerber, as you guys know. This knife is good. Way overpriced. Way overpriced. I got mine on sale. But I love the Strong Arm. And this is probably my second most used. In fact, this is my second most used fixed blade after the SRK. There's a lot to love about this knife. The modularity of the sheath is one of the things to love. I keep mine for scout carry. 420 steel, which is nothing amazing, but it is pretty tough. It is technically stainless, and it is really, really easy to touch up in the field, which is something that I think is really, really important with a lot of fixed blades. Definitely kind of a tactical knife. You know, you've got the attitude adjuster there at the end, but I've used it as an outdoor knife, and I've been very impressed. It is not that. It's not a huge knife, and it's also kind of in that size range of, you know, maybe a little bit smaller than I normally like. But, in fact, these two knives are pretty comparable. This is a knife that definitely works like a bigger knife. I mean, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to baton, I have batoned this knife through logs that had that much length on it, right? So the log itself is like the length of the blade plus that. Very stout. This is a knife that got me through field camp. Field camp is a class that all geologists have to take. It's, you know, one of your kind of your capstone course. Actually, it is your capstone course. Basically, you just spend a month out in the bush doing geologic maps, looking at rocks and taking measurements and stuff. And so while we're out there camping and things, this was a knife that I used throughout the entirety of field camp. Made a lot of fires with this. Made a lot of meals with this. Yeah, so I've definitely got a you know, deep connection with this knife. But this is the one Gerber that I would recommend. I think this knife is actually really, really good. My review for this knife is over an hour long, and that's how you know that I have a lot to say about a knife, and this one I definitely did have a lot to say about. I love the strong arm. It's a classic. I think everyone should have one. All right, last two, and this is the last one that was sent in by Zach. This is the Bark River Gunny Sidekick, and this is the most beautiful knife on this list. And this is a knife that Zach specifically requested that I keep because he ordered it specifically with like the red liners. I guess red's his favorite color, and so yeah, this is the Zach knife, and I will be keeping this one. Zach, don't you worry. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous knife. The sheath is beautiful. Kind of a plain sheath, in all honesty. It's wearing in really nicely, though. It was very, very tight, but it's wearing in beautifully. I have just started my use and testing of this knife. And again, this is a knife that is in a size category, less so than the Gerber and the SRK. But this is a knife that it's a little bit bigger than an EDC fixed blade in my mind, but it's not like big enough to be a survival knife or an outdoor knife or like a big, knife kind of like that. But the more I use this knife, the more I'm loving it. We've got a convex grind here. This is CPM 154. Beautiful, beautiful ergos. This is a knife that is kind of a general purpose working knife, I guess. If you're going to be doing work around the campsite or something, I think this would probably be a pretty decent skinning knife. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the opportunity to break down any game with it anytime soon. But yeah, look at that. We already talked about how I feel about buoys. Yeah, this knife is just absolutely gorgeous. We've got micarta with carbon fiber pins. We've got the red G10 liners. This is one of the most beautiful, in fact, this might be the most beautiful knife in my collection. I absolutely love this knife. And yeah, I can't wait to put it through its paces. I've got a lot of knives to start testing and stuff, in between my regular life job and everything like that, I've got a lot of knives to work on, and that's a good thing. Alrighty, here we are at long last, the final knife. Some of you might know what it is. That's right, it's the Demko Free Rein. I really enjoy the Free Rein quite a bit. It's kind of like the SRK in some respects. Like the feel and hand reminds me a lot of the SRK because of the over molded rubberized grip, but you got this beautiful drop point blade. Mine does have a couple of nicks and scratches in it. Austin on this one, you can also get them in MagnaCut. I might upgrade to one of the MagnaCut ones, but yeah, this is a knife that this is probably my third most used outdoor knife. The sheath, of course, it's got Demko's new kind of technology. This is a knife that I really, really do enjoy, and when I first got it, you guys will know the review for this is in two parts that are both about an hour long. Respect to any of you that have watched the entirety of both parts, but I really took this knife and I beat the tar out of it. I really want to see what this knife is capable of, and it did great things. I love this knife a whole lot. Maybe one of these days I'll upgrade to the MagnaCut version. Yeah, this is a great knife. Again, I don't like it as much as the SRK for some reason. And honestly, I think this is a better looking knife. But the SRK is just, I don't know, it's just more my thing. You can also get this in a Tonto blade, which is pretty cool. But yeah, there we go. Alrighty, so that's my top 15 fixed blades. There's a couple of fixed blades I've got an eye on. There's one that I know is on its way to me. So this list might change up. We'll do an update to it, but I just want to get this list out here right now because 2025 is going to be the year of the fixed blade here on Gideon Stuff. We've got some incredible fixed blades to review. If you're a fixed blade person, stick around because I think you're going to be really, really impressed with some of the content coming out. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Big shout out to my channel members right here at the Cowboy level. I appreciate everything they do. If you want to become a channel member and support the channel directly, there's a button down below. As for the rest of you hooligans, if you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.